This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to Act 2 of Reign of the Sith. I've definitely put a lot of work into this, and again, this will just be some Battlefront footage, and I'll be releasing the full version that I edit on most likely May 4th. I'm not really certain about this date right now because I have a lot of work to do that week, but I'll try to get it released at least then. If not, I'll try to find something else special for May 4th. And just to remind you, the last episode ended with R2-D2 going around the Millennium Falcon, which was heavily damaged, and that's where we will start today. R2 continues to move around and finally arrives at C-3PO. R2 performs some quick repairs on 3PO, and 3PO returns to life. R2, what's going on? How long has it been? R2 beeps repeatedly. What do you mean we barely survived a life-ending blast? 3PO replies. R2 plays a holo recording, which shows a normal color Tatooine being consumed by a black ball of energy, which is originating from inside the planet. The Falcon was at the edge of the atmosphere after breaking through the Vong blockade. As energy hit it, the Falcon was launched into space and heavily damaged. Most of the ship's power was drained, except for somehow R2's, and Chewbacca was able to drag himself to the medical bay with the help of R2-D2 before passing out. The hologram ends, and R2 gives humor beeps. What? You fly the ship? You must be out of your mind, R2. You know I hate space travel. R2 beeps again. A life sign? What do you mean? All lifetimes would have been ended on Tatooine during the blast. You said it yourself. The odds of anything surviving is 14 billion. R2 continues to beep again, interrupting him. 3PO replies, R2, you take that back. I do not miscalculate the odds more often than not. R2 beeps again. Okay, R2. We'll try to get down there, if it means getting poor Chewbacca some much needed medical help. The Falcon lurches forward slowly and begins to enter orbit. The ship begins to burn up as it flies down. And it continues to look up and sees a small ball of fire coming in fast towards him. He tries to connect with it and feels a life sign. Anakin reaches out with the Force and is able to connect with it. He slows it down and he looks at the ship, recognizing it as the Millennium Falcon from his time as Vader. Anakin goes to the ramp after the ship lands and sees a surprise he did not expect. R2? 3PO? Anakin says, first surprise and then with a little bit of joy. R2 beeps nervously and backs up. Anakin was confused for a moment, but then realized what happened the last time they saw each other, at least face to face. The last time they were really close, Anakin did shoot him down, but Anakin realized the last time they saw each other, he was choking Padme to death. Anakin also has no doubt that R2 knows every horrific act he committed as Vader. Anakin kneels down to his old friend and explains calmly, Hey buddy, I'm no longer Vader. I'm sure Luke told you what I did on the Death Star. I stopped being Vader when I killed the Emperor. Well, the first time. R2 began to calm down a little more and moved to his old friend's side, beeping some more. Your friend Chewbacca needs medical attention? Well, let's go help him, Anakin replies. Anakin goes to enter the Falcon, hits the button opening the door to the ship, begins to walk up, but now we cut to Vader entering the room of his destroyer in his new Beskar armor, and the window in black is standing in the corner. The armor is complete. It looks similar to the original Vader suit, but is much more shiny with the Beskar metal. It was forged to be darker, and there was no real difference besides it being a little more reflective. Vader once again breathes as we hear the haunting sound of his breathing. See the Mandalorian looking at Vader with fear and asking him, "Lord Vader, it is done. Will you free me and my family now?" "Your family is dead, but I will release you," Vader responds. Vader begins to walk, reaching out with the Force and snapping her neck. As he walks past the body, he leaves for the hangar and enters a shuttle that launches from the Sith destroyer and flies towards a large tower covered with many half rings popping out. They are all parallel to each other and cover all sides of the structure. This is the Sith Citadel. Vader's ship lands in the Citadel's hangar, and multiple elite Sith stormtroopers enter the ship. Their armor is black, is very similar shaped to the Sith Empire trooper from the Old Republic, with the only real difference being they have Phase 2 clone visors with glowing red in them, and their armor is fully black with no color you can see on it, making the details very hard to make out. They go in and they go to the two Jedi who are imprisoned there. They take them away. Vader follows them, but decides to turn to another room when he sees the Emperor in it. The Emperor motions for him to enter and begins, "Lord Vader, I see you have constructed a new suit. Most impressive," Palpatine remarks. Vader responds, "It is done, my master." The two Jedi are down there for the conversion to the Grievous program. I wish to also reprogram my commander. He failed to manage his resources properly, which allowed for the Jedi to escape Tython. Go through it, my apprentice. After I deal with these Jedi, I think you would very enjoy this process," Palpatine responds. Palpatine now exits this room and goes to the next one, where both Jedi are in suspended animation, similar to the way Dooku was held in the Clone Wars episode Dooku Captured. Palpatine now approaches the two Jedi. He looks at them and places his hand on each of their heads. They begin to scream in pain as all color drains from them. Their skin turns pale, and their eyes lose all color and become black and soulless. Palpatine smiles and tells the two, "I only need one of you. The two of you can decide which one I need." He turns around and begins to walk out of the room. He smiles one last time and throws a single lightsaber behind his back and closes the door. "Now, Lord Vader, it's time for some fun entertainment," Palpatine says, hitting a button, releasing both from the fields that are held up by. They both hit the ground, eyeing the lightsaber. Neither has energy to run to it, so they both limp towards the saber, after soon realizing their connection to the Force has been severed by Palpatine. They both reach for it about the same time and begin to fight. They knock each other over, but the male is able to grab the lightsaber and is about to deal the killing blow, but hesitates for a second. He's pushing back. He puts the lightsaber at his side, and the color slightly begins to turn to his eyes, and he says, "No, I will not kill you. We can take the Emperor together. Even if we die, at least we will be." He is cut off as the female grabs the lightsaber, stabbing it into him. As he finishes, together, Palpatine comes in laughing. "Oh, I did not expect that. You are clearly the more loyal, but still, you need to be improved." He shoots, force sliding from his fingers, which is now red, and she screams in pain. He turns to Vader and tells him, "Go deal with your commander. I'll need about an hour or two to fully fix her." The realm lights up again with red lightning as Vader turns around and leaves. Vader goes through a few passages, presses a few buttons and a hollow lift, and goes up to another floor. He then goes to a command center, where he projects himself to the bridge of his Sith destroyer. He looks upon his commander and tells him, "Commander, you have failed me for the last time. It is time for you to be reprogrammed." "No, no, Lord Vader, please, I'll do anything," he begs. He tries to pull the cords out from behind his head, but we see a little spark of energy go down these cords, and when it ends at his head, he stops. His arms drop down to his side. "Ready to serve, Lord Vader," he now replies in an emotionless voice. Vader returns a little later to see what Palpatine has done, as he sees the new Grievous rising from the table. She is clearly covered in a dark metallic gray suit, which looks almost exactly like the original Grievous suit, with the only difference really being the color. "Agent Grievous, go to Tatooine, find the disturbance in the Force, and eliminate it," Palpatine ordered. He felt the anger coming out of her. She hated him and what he made her do. With the dark side of corruption, made her extremely loyal. Anakin now helps Chewbacca out of his bed and brings him outside. Chewbacca sits down as Anakin looks up to the sky and says, "We need to fix the Falcon now." "Why? What is the rush?" 3PO asks. That Anakin replies, "Climbing up to the sky, in orbit, there is a Sith destroyer." Chewbacca roars, "Make it working parts." And it seems that everything on the planet was fighting the blast. 3PO translates. Anakin sighs and looks up at the destroyer, and then comes back over and tells them, "I have a really bad idea. It might work. I might die a horrible death or go insane. Either or." They all look confused, and Anakin continues, "I remember hearing that this was possible in the Jedi archives. It should work, theoretically." "Theoretically? How has this been successfully pulled off?" 3PO asks. Anakin gives a small smile and replies, "Never. Anyone who's ever tried to pull this off, either one could say they died." I thought I made that pretty clear earlier. Let's hope me being the chosen one or being brought back from the dead or something like that gives me the ability to do it. "We're doomed," 3PO responds. Anakin climbs up on top of the Falcon and reaches out with the Force. He connects deeply and opens his eyes, but without his eyes to open, he's projected his mind inside of that of a Sith trooper. The trooper, controlled by Anakin, walks through the halls and goes to the main reactor, where the trooper begins to fire on it, and the room explodes. Anakin disconnects from him right before he dies, and the ship begins to go down. We next cut to Anakin falling to the ground. He seems to be dead. Chewbacca feels his pulse, and it is not there, but suddenly it returns. Focusing on him, we now cut quickly to Ahsoka, who is meditating. She's surprised what she feels in the Force. Anakin shields. Come back to Anakin, his eyes shoot open. He sighs and says, "Well, that was fun. I'm never doing that again." He looks up and sees the Sith Destroyer burning up as it enters the orbit and begins to crash on the planet. He then tells everyone, "We should probably get inside the Falcon. We don't want to get hit by the sandstorm created by the crash." They all enter the Falcon and close the ramp as the destroyer hits the ground, sending black sand everywhere. After the storm dies down, Anakin grabs a pair of binoculars and exits the Falcon. Though the sand is still out there, it falls on him. He sighs and repeats the famous words, "I hate sand." Anakin looks to the crash site through the binoculars, where he sees something surprising. Grievous? He's very surprised by this. Anakin is looking in, and he sees two AT-MAPs with Grievous. The AT-MAP is the all-terrain mining and attack platform, and one of the main functions of them is to dig underground to attack enemy targets. It's also used for mining, but that's not really important for this situation. It has 8 legs, 4 on each side, and each leg has 180-degree mobility and can connect to any surface, like the ATTE. The front and back of it has a powerful laser to cut through almost any surface, powered by a small kyber crystal, but each side can only be fired at once, and you can't fire both at the same time. Anakin drops binoculars and turns to Chewbacca and asks him, "Can we get the Falcon to the wreckage?" The Wookiee roars, and 3PO responds with the translation, "No, it is not possible." The best he could get the Falcon to is a few feet off the ground for about 15 seconds. Anakin looks and sees the walkers tumbling down. He sighs, "Get in and get it up off the ground. I'll push you." 3PO replies, "What? Are you crazy? I'm not putting my life in some stranger's hands." And then he is turned off by Chewbacca, who drags him into the ship and begins to lift it off the ground. Anakin uses a force push to throw the ship towards the wreckage of the Sith Destroyer. Anakin is still watching to make sure the ship lands successfully, and it seems to have done it, but then he begins to feel the ground shaking under him. He moves as 2 red lasers shoot out of the ground, and the 2 AT-MAPs exit the holes just made by them. The new Grievous now exits the AT-MAP that she is in and begins to monologue. "Anakin Skywalker, You're alive. I will kill you. For my Emperor, you will suffer, and it will. Anakin is thrown off by the voice of the new Grievous. He didn't expect it for it to be male, just like the previous Grievous. He really expected it to be the same person. You're not Grievous. Who are you? He asks. She responds, I don't know who I. She starts to explain with her color being turned to her eyes. But suddenly, the corruption takes over again, and her eyes turn to dark black. No. Kill him, she orders. As she puts her hand to her head as it hurts a lot. Anakin sees both walkers aiming at him. He's able to drop down and roll to the side, barely dodging the major blasts that would definitely have cut him up and destroyed him because of how powerful they are. He then knows what to do to take these down. He jumps into the middle of them, and one of the walkers tries to kick him. He's able to use that to be able to throw his lightsaber at the front turret under it, taking it out. He's also dropping down and rolling under as he takes out the back turret also. He then brings his lightsaber back to him and cuts a hole into it, where he goes and takes out the crew. He is starting to turn the walker around, but the other one is trying to fire on him. As it fires, Anakin drops out of the hole that he just cut in. He hits the ground as the turret is firing upon the walker, and as the dust clears, Anakin tosses his lightsaber towards the right half of legs, cutting through all of them, removing them. As it falls to its side, Anakin runs towards the right as the walker tries to turn around and be able to get him. The turrets fire upon him, but Anakin tosses his lightsaber, cutting through both of them in one swing. He then is able to enter into the walker with no real resistance from the walker at all. He gets in, takes out the pilots, and then sets the reactor to explode. He jumps out and watches as the walker explodes behind him in a ball of light and fire. Anakin finally drops to the ground, sweating and very tired. The new Grievous begins to clap, very impressed at what he has done. She's finally recovered from her trying to break free of it, and Palpatine's control has been redone and cemented over her once again. She pulls out two lightsabers and charges them. She ignites them. One is blue and the other is green. Anakin is able to block all of her blows, and it seems to be going very neutral, every block being countered, but then her arms split into four, but luckily for now she didn't have any more lightsabers to do it and try to kill Anakin with, so he got off kind of easy, but he was getting very tired, taking his walkers down to flat out of him, and this was taking even more out of him. He realized that she was just trying to hold back. There was something in her resisting the control. The way to beat her was not to beat her in a fight. So, as they were getting into an even more intense fight, he designated his lightsaber, jumped over her, and was able to put his hand upon her head, and connected to the Force. I was able to force Palpatine's control out of her. Her eyes slowly turned to normal color, and she dropped to the ground, shaking with fear and pain from this new body. If she could cry, she would, but this new body that Palpatine put her in made that impossible. Of course, you would know why, because if you see normal Grievous, I don't really want to explain that because I'm pretty sure this video would become like restricted for like 18 plus if I did. Anakin helped her up and the letter to the Falcon, which he was able to put her in the medical bed Chewbacca was in earlier. The repairs are finished up by Chewbacca and Anakin helping him, and they take off from the planet, going into the atmosphere and heading towards the fleet of the Galactic Alliance. But now we cut to a Jedi Council meeting on one of the cruisers, where we see them discussing what Ahsoka felt about the return of Anakin Skywalker. Anakin is back. He's not Vader, Ahsoka explains. Matter it does not. Vader, he still was. Trust him, we cannot. Grogu responds. Master Grogu, please, don't let your feelings towards Vader be directed to Anakin. They somehow had to be split. Even when I fought Vader, I was never able to feel a very strong presence of Anakin in him. This is different. Ezra does agree with her and says, I trust Ahsoka. Anakin Skywalker was one of the best of the Jedi at one point. And from what his son Luke told us, he read himself at the end. Cal and Finn are both about on them neutral on it. They both think it could be a good idea, but it could be too risky. But Grogu continues, redeemed? Kill my father, Vader just did. Trust Anakin, we cannot. Cal and Finn are able to start saying Grogu's side. They both agree with him, with Cal saying, I'm sorry, Ahsoka, we just can't risk this. Look how it turned out with Palpatine. Finn agrees with Cal. Ahsoka says, okay, we should at least wait to see what the Force decides, or we need to see what his fate is. We will listen to the will of the Force once he arrives. We now cut back to the Falcon. As Anakin looks at R2 and Chewbacca, he now looks to 3PO and is about to go turn him on. But before he does, he turns back to R2 and says, okay, R2, give it to me. R2 beeps. Anakin responds, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have a copy of 3PO's memory back from the Clone Wars. R2 goes to beep in defense, saying that he doesn't have it, but just decides to give up and gives Anakin the data. Anakin uploads into 3PO, and he then turns him on. 3PO starts up. Oh, Master Anakin, I remember everything. Where'd you get my memory from? Anakin points to R2. 3PO continues. Oh, you giant walking trash can. You had this data for over half a century, and finally decided to return it? R2 beeps again, and 3PO hits him on the head. Chewbacca roars, and 3PO decides to translate instead of continuing to attack R2. Master Anakin, Chewbacca says that he was able to get enough information about the Emperor's Sith Citadel to be able to launch a successful attack. Anakin looks there and says, good, well, we'll give it to the Alliance. But an alarm begins to go off, and Anakin and Chewbacca run to the cockpit, and we see that they're being dragged in by a tractor beam into one of the Galactic Alliance ships. The ship lands, and Anakin is confused why they're being pulled in. He looks out the viewport, and there's over 10,000 Alliance soldiers standing with their weapons aimed at the Falcon. One of the troopers yells, Anakin Skywalker, you are under arrest for your crimes against the galaxy. Okay, I should have the final act out in about 2 to 3 weeks, but yeah, this is a lot longer than I thought it'd be. This is about 30 minutes long, not counting the quick intro and outro I have. So I just hope you really enjoyed it, and can't wait for the next one. I mean, honestly, I'm guessing this is probably going to be like an hour long, but I'm excited to see how this goes. Also, check out my backup channel and subscribe to it. It's mainly because I have it there in case if anything happens to this channel. Nothing will be public on it, but if something happens and the channel is deleted, All my videos have been re-uploaded to that, so I can keep space on my computer to be able to make even more videos. And this is going to be taking up a lot of space, which is kind of the reason they did it. Especially since I'll be having an hour-long video with all these different videos combined together, which is edited with clips and images. I can't wait to see how this goes. But also, I should have the next part done in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It really depends on how much work I have to do, but I'll definitely be ready soon. And hopefully I'll be able to have the full version with edited scenes out on May 4th. And that only means I'm just going to have some images popping up instead of Battlefront gameplay, stuff that relates more to what's going on directly. We're not going to be able to find everything perfectly, since of course not everything exists perfectly. And in some parts I might just have some Battlefront gameplay, especially if it is just a big battle. Of course, the final battle will be taking place at the Sith Citadel, or with Anakin's arrest. It could go either way. We'll see how it goes. But I decided to put the Anakin's arrest thing at the end. I think that's a very good transition and cliffhanger to make people wonder what's going to happen next. And I'm kind of glad I could upload this video to be so long. And I got all that stuff with custom thumbnails and videos over 15 minutes, because this is definitely over 15 minutes. I'm looking at the time code right now, I'm at like 31 minutes and 39 seconds, 40 seconds, you get it. But I'm really excited to see how this video goes. So, thank you for watching this. Subscribe to see Act 3 in 2 to 3 weeks. Please check out the rest of my videos. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please like the video, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. And may the Force be with you.